Welcome back to the CJ channel, and today we'll be talking about the rule of thumb, which is talked about a lot. What is the 4% rule when it comes to retirement in the UK? Now, the 4% rule is a rule of thumb. It effectively says that if you withdraw 4% or less from your retirement pot over the course of time, generally the equity markets or the weighting of equities that you have, plus bonds possibly, will help your portfolio continue to keep you going throughout your retirement. As with any rule of thumb though, it's not a one size fits all. If you want to have a conversation about your existing drawdown strategy, whether you're working with us or working with another financial advisor, you can come through and have a free review. And for all of you who are watching the videos but not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. It's the very best thing you can do to help me with the channel. We put a lot of time and effort in, and subscribing really helps us here as an organization. So the reason I say this is not a rule of thumb is that it quite literally is. If on average you took 3 or 4% from your pension pot for the next 30 years, it's a pretty good indicator that you're not going to run out of money. Why? Because equity markets continue to grow. Past performance is no guide to future performance. However, over the course of a 30-year period in the equity markets, you can have some type of comfort in thinking to yourself that the equity markets are going to grow. Now, this doesn't always work though. And a lot of my clients fret about this and they say, yeah, but Dominic, okay, I've transferred my pension pot. I'd now like to take my 25% PCLS. Say they have a £500,000 pension pot, £125,000. And they say, but hang on, what about the 4% rule? Am I making a mistake here? And this is why it always comes down to independent financial planning per someone's situation. Now, if the client is saying to me, Dominic, I want to withdraw my 25% PCLS because it's tax-free and yeah, I want to take it. I'm going to challenge them. I'm going to say, why? Why do you want to take the money? Well, I've transferred my DB now, or I've done the DC pension transfer. I can now access the money. I'm 55 or 57, 2028, and I want to take it. No, I'll say no. What's it for? I say, if they don't have a good reason, they're like, oh, I'm going to put it into the bank account and invest it. I'm like, whoa, hang on. You have a pension pot which is free from capital gains tax. I'm currently free from inheritance tax, obviously from 2027, that's going to change. So why would you go and put it into an environment which doesn't have those types of tax efficiencies? If the client doesn't have a good answer for me, I will keep challenging them on it. I mean, at the end of the day, a client's money is their money. I can only give my advice on what I think they should do. However, if a client comes to me and says, Dominic, you know what? We've always wanted to do our conservatory, or I'm now retired. We've always wanted to take the family on a big holiday or a cruise, whatever it might be. So yes, they might be taking 25% of their pension pot. Typically, we take them through a full cash flow planning to understand the effects of this, but it might still be the right thing for them to do. Now, that doesn't mean financially it's the right thing for them to do. Taking 25% of your pension pot out of your pension pot at retirement age is obviously going to affect the compounding growth rate of your pension pot over the course of time. However, for some clients, that sacrifice of growth potentially might be worth it in terms of what they want to do with their life. Now, this is where sometimes I feel like I'm on the front line with clients and I'm sitting and hearing and speaking with them. I have never, in my 8 years as CEO, had someone come through and say, hey, I want to take out my money because I want to go and buy a Ferrari, and they look at their financial situation and they can't really afford it. That doesn't really happen, or not in my experience anyway. Clients are typically making quite educated decisions in terms of their drawdown and what they want to do. So this idea that people go and waste their money in retirement, I don't see it. Maybe that's because of the type of people who do their research and come to us and ask us for advice, maybe so. But again, it's not something I'd say it's very common with clients entirely exhausting their pension pots. Now, this also brings us on to another interesting topic though. Now, a lot of my clients are hoping to live until life expectancy in the UK into their 80s, possibly into their 90s. Some people's parents now are living close to 100. I mean, my grandparents got to 19, my gran got to 100 and my granddad got to 99. That's no guarantee though. Just because we have increased healthcare and we have increased technology does not mean to say that you are going to live so late in life. It can also be argued that in the world that we live in now, the stress we have, the food we eat is not necessarily as healthy as what our grandparents had when they were living a more healthy lifestyle in terms of diet, no fast food, etc., or less of it. So again, it really comes down to your own independent situation. The majority of my clients, sometimes I have to remind them and say, you've completed it. Like, you've done enough. You've worked hard. Look at your cash flow planning. Even if you were to have a financial crisis or another COVID situation, markets drop 30% on your 55th birthday, we've modeled it out here on Voyant. It's the cash flow planning tool we use. You would still be okay and you would still reach retirement with enough money. And for a lot of clients, this is a game changer. And they're suddenly like, okay, wow, maybe now I can actually relax a little bit and go and enjoy my retirement. Just a side point on that, when my clients are in, say, their final 5 or 10 years before retiring, I do highlight to them though that now are your cash cow years. You are earning probably more money now, you have more status in your company, you're more valuable to them. The salary you can demand now is basically all the hard work you did in your 20s and your 30s is probably now paying off. So if you could stay there for another 5 years and collect XYZ paycheck, get that into your pension pot, that could be very good for your financial planning. But again, I find like my role with my clients is not only to give them the financial advice, but also try to help them from a lifestyle planning perspective. Is working another 5 years on that excellent high salary valuable to them, or is spending time with their kids and grandkids more valuable to them? And that's why it always comes down to an independent decision for clients. Don't follow the herd. Don't think you have to do 4%. It's a good rule of thumb, but do what works for you. But make sure, whether you're working on your own independently or working with a financial advisor, make sure it's clear, do proper cash flow planning to make sure that if you were to make a withdrawal now, how it could potentially affect you in the future. If anyone has any questions on the 4% rule, please let us know in the comment section below. And as always, we look forward to you reaching out and have a proper conversation about how to help you with your financial planning.